It is so nice to have you here with me this evening. It has been a while since I have filmed one of these videos. The engagement on them is not very good, but I enjoy having a little ramble and a little chat. So I will keep doing them because I find them fun. And as you can probably tell by the title, that is a rambly, chatty, what I have been watching recently. I was doing these in the form of like my monthly reading wrap-ups, but movie edition. I'm not sure if I'll keep doing it like that, but every now and then I'll probably post just what I've been watching. It really does depend, because some months I watch heaps of movies, some months I watch 4, and that doesn't really make for entertaining or interesting viewing content, but I always have a lot to say. I also don't remember where I picked up off in my last like chatting about the movies I've watched, so I'm just gonna go from where I think I'm up to. If there's some overlap, I apologize. Alright, so I watched Past Lives, the A24 film, for the first time, and I was not expecting that movie to hit me so hard. I sort of described it as if Longing was a movie. I'm going to try and talk about these movies without spoiling the plots, but I did really enjoy it. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. It's basically about this girl who reconnects with a school friend that she hasn't seen in years. They had a pretty strong connection when they were young, but nothing sort of happened. It wasn't romantic or anything like that, it was like borderline. And they reconnect like 15 years later, and he flies out to see her in America where she's moved to, and it sort of just follows the aftermath of that reconnection. And yeah, it was such a beautiful film. I'm so glad that I watched it. It is Korean, and there are subtitles, but I love the quote that once you get over the 1-inch barrier at the bottom of a film, you will open yourself up to a world of new amazing movies, and that is so true. I just thought this film really hit on one of those sort of taboo emotions that we don't often talk about, especially because this main character, she was married, and yeah, it sort of touches on that idea of reconnecting with someone that you once had a connection with now, and you're not supposed to have feelings for them. Society tells you that you're not supposed to have feelings for them, but it sort of explores that reconnection, and just the way that they explored it in the film was really beautiful. I really, really enjoyed it. This is annoying me. There we go, better. I don't think I will watch it again though, because like I was sobbing at the end. The next movie that I've seen recently is Melancholia with Kirsten Dunst. This movie I really didn't enjoy. I gave it 1/2 star. That's how much I didn't enjoy it. It follows... I did not understand sort of the first and second halves of the movie were completely different, and it could have been a different movie. The first half, there is a husband and wife on their wedding day, and it's really strange because at first it seems that there's nothing wrong and everything is going well, but then all of a sudden Kirsten Dunst's character, who's the wife about to get married, gets really weird. It's like she's getting cold feet and she runs off, and it's quite strange. But the night ends and it turns out that there is another planet coming to collide with Earth, and the husband is no longer in the picture, but it's Kirsten Dunst's character grappling with the idea that sort of the world is like going to come to an end in front of her eyes. I'm not doing it very good justice, but I don't recommend watching it. I really didn't enjoy it. I didn't understand the two parts. I thought that they could have been two completely different movies. I thought the idea of the second half was interesting, but the execution wasn't good. It was strange, and I think obviously the name implies Melancholia, that it's meant to sort of encapsulate this feeling of melancholy, and in a way it did that, but it was so strange because it felt like it was a situation where people would be freaking out. It wouldn't be this sort of melancholy feeling. I don't know, it was quite... Like I said, I didn't enjoy it. I don't even really understand why people do for that one. The next movie that I watched was Inside Llewyn Davis. This stars, now I'm forgetting his name, hold on. Oscar Isaac. And I do like him as an actor, but I thought this movie was okay. I think the Coen brothers who directed this film have done better. I know they directed The Big Lebowski and I hated that movie, and I know that's totally unpopular, but I don't really enjoy stoner humour, and I found it to be very stoner humour-esque and just very boy, and I didn't like that. I don't know. The girls who get it. When I say something's very boy, derogatory. No, but Inside Llewyn Davis is about this aspiring musician, and essentially his life is a mess, and we follow him trying to catch his big break, I suppose. And he's quite jealous because one of his friends has caught a big break and he doesn't think he's very good, so it sort of just follows him. And yeah, as I said, he's not very put together. He is quite unorganized and just not what you would expect from an adult who is a bit older. I think he's maybe meant to be in his late 30s. I think a lot of people feel this movie is quite deep, but I personally didn't connect with it as much as some people did. And like I said, I don't think it's the best Coen Brothers movie. The next movie that I watched is actually a documentary called The Act of Killing, and this documentary was quite confronting. I definitely wouldn't recommend it if you are squeamish or are sensitive to violence. It's a true story, it's a documentary, but I'm glad I watched it, but I didn't enjoy it. Essentially, it follows a quite untalked about piece of history, I feel like. In Indonesia, in the 1960s, I think, or 1970s, there was a dictatorship that essentially ran around and killed all the communists, all the people who, even if they weren't self-described as a communist, if they were acting in a way in which the government thought you were a communist or sympathetic to communism, they would go around killing you. And I think they ended up killing anywhere between 1 and 5 million people, and they killed women, children. It was mainly college or university educated people, and the ramifications of that time was still quite significant in Indonesia, and it was pretty confronting. Like I said, I think it's a time in history or a piece of history that is often overlooked or not taught in schools. I personally had no idea about it, and I feel like I'm pretty well versed in world history. I took multiple history classes in high school and in university, and when I was a kid I actively watched a bunch of history shows, and I read history books now. And I watch lots of history documentaries and videos, video essays on YouTube, but somehow in that time I had never come across this event. And the documentary follows the people. They're older now, but they were the people who killed people at the time, and it's pretty scary to see just how unsympathetic, and I don't use this word lightly, but psychopathic they were. They felt no remorse for the hundreds of thousands to millions of people that they single-handedly killed. They went around Indonesia and showed the places and how they killed these people, and a lot of it was just pure torture. There was no just bullet to the head, instantly dead. It was really quite graphic, slowly dying. Like I said, I'm glad that I watched the documentary because it was a piece of history that it's important to learn about, but it was truly a horrifying experience sitting there and watching this documentary, basically. So if you are interested in history, I would say this is a good one to watch, but be warned, it's pretty heavy. The next movie I watched was Black Swan. I absolutely loved this movie with Natalie Portman. I think she did a fantastic job as the main character, and this is essentially American Psycho but for women, and it's awesome. I loved it, gave it 5 stars. This film follows a ballet dancer who still lives with her mum, and her mum is a bit cuckoo. And it's an unreliable narrator situation. I won't say anything more because I really don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it. I think it's well worth the watch. Just be warned, be prepared for some strange viewing. You won't get it while you're watching it. It's not until literally the final scene that everything clicks together, and props to whoever wrote this film. I can't remember who directed it, but they did a really amazing job. I was like gripped to my seat the entire time. I thought it was really good. My partner didn't like it as much as I did, but that's okay. He's not making this video, I am. I always feel like the movies that I really enjoyed, I don't have as much to say about because I just really, really liked it. I didn't feel like it had many things for me to complain about. The only thing that I didn't really like that it got, there was like an inappropriate age gap thing going on, or power dynamic going on, but that plays heavily into the story, so I don't want to spoil it. Watch that one, I recommend it. The next film I watched was Fight Club. This is a rewatch for me. I have seen it before. I've seen it multiple times before, but I feel like with Fight Club, every time you watch it, you find out something that you missed in the first watch of it. I think Brad Pitt's character, how he edits these little, if you don't know, again, I think this is one to watch because I absolutely love this movie. His character works at a theatre projector, he works at the movies, and he, in the role of film, he adds in these tiny little snippets of people, and I think that's really funny. But in the movie they have done the same thing, and it's just such a fun little detail that I absolutely love. Fight Club, it's a great movie, and I think the more I watch it, the more relatable it gets, which I swear I'm not crazy. If you've seen the film, you'll be like, what the hell? But more so on the idea that capitalism is destroying us, and the more you own, the more that owns you. Every time I watch it, that gets more and more relatable to me in my current phase of life, and I just think the storytelling is amazing. I have read the book as well, which is featured in one of my reading wrap-up videos. I think I read it last year in April or May. For me personally, the movie is better than the book. I think the director does a better job at taking what's in the book and making it more palatable for a movie. In the book there are sort of certain scenes that happen at really random times, but in the screenplay it lines up and flows a lot better. So I do enjoy the movie more than the book, but they're both still great. I think I'd recommend watching and reading if you haven't. The next film that I watched has been much anticipated for me because I had never seen it, and that is Wicked. I had been enjoying all of the sort of online commentary about the Wicked movies. I watched it at the time of all the sort of Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande memes, and I do find them quite funny. I will say that I've never seen the play, And I think I would have liked the movie more if I had seen the play. This is Wicked Part 1, by the way. So, I feel like my opinions on Wicked are controversial. I gave it 3 stars. I didn't think it was bad, but I didn't think it was good either. I thought, I hate to say this, but I thought Ethan Slater kind of bodied his character as Bok. I think he did a really good job as that character. I don't like Ethan Slater, so that pains me to say. I think Cynthia Erivo is so incredibly talented, and she blows everyone out of the water in terms of her vocals, because her vocals are so strong. It makes Ariana's look quite weak and not as good as hers, in my opinion. I think Ariana did a really good job at acting Glinda, but I didn't think her vocals were very good. I should say, like, I'm not an Ariana Grande fan of her music. I can appreciate that she is a good singer, but I don't listen or like her music, really. But I think she did a good job acting Glinda. I think Cynthia Erivo's vocals are just 10 times stronger than hers, and because her vocals in the film are already like quite dainty and weaker, that juxtaposition makes Cynthia's vocals sound even stronger and even better. And yeah, I just think it was offensive to Cynthia Erivo to put her with people that are less talented. She deserves all of the talent in the world, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying that the other actors aren't talented. I'm just saying that Cynthia Erivo is the most talented. She deserves to act with people who are equally or more talented than her, in my opinion, because I know people are massive Wicked / Ariana fans. Please don't kill me if you don't agree with that take. The next film that I watched was Tree of Life. This has Brad Pitt and Jessica Chastain in it. I didn't like this movie. It was strange. About half of it is like a nature documentary, and that was the best half. I really enjoyed it's a stunning film, like visually, probably one of the most beautiful films that I've ever watched, but the dad family storyline I could not give 2 shits about. It's more so I would just watch it for the nature documentary. If you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you'll be like, what the hell? It's quite an artsy film, and I do like artsy films for the most part. But this one, it was like a little bit too abstract, a little bit too artsy, and that sort of went on for a little bit too long. That's why I didn't enjoy it that much. I don't know. The next movie that I watched was Aftersun. This is a Scottish film that has Paul Mescal in it. It's probably like after Normal People, what sort of kicked off his career. I did like this film. It's about a dad and a daughter who they don't get to spend a lot of time together because he's not with the daughter's mum, and they get to go on holidays together, and it is a very slow-paced film. It's one of those no plot, just vibes, but I really enjoyed that. And it sort of cuts in these scenes of when the daughter is all grown up, and it's her sort of reflecting on that holiday that she got to spend with him. Just the way that sort of the ending scene was done was really in tears. It's like not a film that I necessarily think I really get or understand 100%. It's just one that hit me in here, but I can't really explain why. And I know that I'm not the only one who feels that way. I was looking through sort of letterboxd reviews and people's thoughts, and a lot of other people felt the same way. So that makes me feel better about it, I suppose. The next film I can't believe that I haven't seen before now, and that is Everything Everywhere All at Once. Wow, what a movie. I totally understand the hype. It was fantastic. I gave it 5 stars. I had a great time. It was emotional, it was funny, it was weird. I think everyone did amazing in their roles. I know a bunch of people won Oscars for their roles in it, but I think, honestly, even though I hated her character, Jamie Lee Curtis's character was great, and she did an amazing job in that film. It was so strange though when she first came on the screen. I was like, no way, is that, because I knew she was in this movie but I didn't know what character she played. I was like, what, that's Jamie Lee Curtis? She looked nothing like what I had seen of her, and I was like, wow, they really did an amazing job with the costumes. Like, Michelle Yeoh did great. The dad, who I know him from playing Data in The Goonies, that's one of my favourite movies of all time. And it was so good. Like, I know he won an Oscar for that role. It was so good to see him in that movie because, again, he did an amazing job. Everyone did. It was such an amazing film and so unique, so mind-blowing. If you haven't seen it, I can't really even describe to you what it's about, other than just watch it. Out of everything, I think on this list, wait, let me check. Yeah, out of all of the movies that I'm speaking about in this video, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is the one that you should watch if you haven't already, because it will just blow your mind. It's really, really good. And it's refreshing. Like, it came out, when did it come out? In 2022, so it's not that new. But in terms of this sort of era where original films are dying and everything that's coming out is just a sequel or a remake or turning a book into a movie, it is so refreshing to see an original screenplay be turned into a movie and written for a movie. Love it. The next film I watched, I've spoke about before, and it's a rewatch. I rewatched The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, the Hunger Games movie. I was just like feeling like I needed a Hunger Games rewatch, but I wasn't in the mood to sit down and watch the first 4 movies, so we jumped to this one. And also I wanted to rewatch it because Tom Blythe who plays Coriolanus Snow, was in a movie that's just come out that I just watched, and I wanted to like see him act again before I watched him in this new film. Yeah. I did watch the newest season of Stranger Things, but my thoughts are pretty much the same as everyone else's on the internet. I did not think it was very good. I 100% believe in the conspiracy theory that the Duffer brother, whose wife was a writer, wrote the first series with him, and then they got divorced, and that's why season 4 and season 5 suck, because she wasn't there. Because she is like an award-winning writer for some other really popular and critically acclaimed TV shows. So that's my thoughts on Stranger Things. Okay, I've got 4 more. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? This is another Coen Brothers film. This stars George Clooney. I didn't really like this one. It's a bit strange. Basically, these three, not convicts, but people in prison, they break out of prison and they are looking for treasure, but it turns out the treasure was just a way for one of the guys to make the others break out with him, because if they knew there was no treasure, they wouldn't have broke out of jail. And it sort of follows them and their journey. He actually, like, the actual reason they broke out is because he wants to see his wife, who has remarried, and he is jealous, basically, and it's pretty much an adventure movie. In the credits it said it's based off the Odyssey, but I have no idea how it's based off the Odyssey. No clue, to be fair. I haven't read the Odyssey. So yes, this one was a little bit strange. Music is a key part again, and I think the Coen brothers just like writing and directing films that feature musicians. I don't know. The next film that I watched is a French film called Amore. It was really sad. I didn't really like it, but that doesn't negate the fact that it was really sad and harrowing. Basically, it just follows an elderly husband and wife and the health decline of the wife that she has to deal with and the husband has to deal with, and it was honestly just really sad seeing sort of what happens to you when you get old and seeing, you know, your loved ones watch you die, basically. It was not a very happy movie, and I didn't enjoy it, not because it is quite unhappy and like harrowing, but more so I just didn't feel like I connected with the characters, and it didn't feel very personal, but also, I don't know, I just didn't really like it. I think I liked the idea more than I actually liked the execution. Like, the actual storyline was interesting and reflective, and I do like reflective media, but something about it just wasn't clicking with me, I guess. I wish I could explain it better, but, you know, sometimes you just like movies and sometimes you don't, and you don't really have a reason. The most recent movie I watched was just the other day, and that is the Emily Henry movie adaptation of People We Meet on Vacation. I have not read the book because I do not like romance books. I don't like romantasy books. You will hardly ever see something like that featured on my channel, unless it's like a crossover between literary fiction or historical fiction or something like that. But for the most part, no, I do not like romantasy novels. But I love Tom Blythe, the actor who plays Alex in this film, so I wanted to watch the movie to support him, and I thought it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It was like a soft like, you know. I can't compare it to the book because I haven't read it. I've seen a lot of people saying that they don't like it because it was not faithful to the book, and I totally understand that criticism. I just don't have that same criticism because I haven't read the book. It is a pretty classic romance film in terms of plot, you know, friends to lovers, but there's a falling out in between the two. You know, I think that's pretty standard for romance. especially friends to lovers. I think there's not too many ways you can make that story any different. But it was just fun and lighthearted, and I think the main character, I'm not too sure the actor's name, but I think this is her first like big role. I thought she was really good. They both did a good job at their roles. At the beginning, I found the dialogue to be quite cringy, as I do often in romance movies. But you sort of get used to it, I suppose. And the main character, I mean, she had the best job in the world. Basically, if you're unfamiliar, she is a travel writer and gets to travel all over the world, writing about it on the company's dime. That's my dream job. How do I get that job? And I wish my best friend had that job so I could also meet them on vacation. That would be pretty epic. But yeah, I'm happy that I watched it because it was just lighthearted and fun, and especially at the moment with everything going on in the world, I needed that. The last movie that I have watched recently and that I have to talk about is The Florida Project, written, directed, screenplay, edited by Sean Baker. This movie was not what I expected. It had been on my want to watch list for a very long time, and all my friends love it. It is critically acclaimed. The people, they love this movie. It's not what I expected, but I did really enjoy it. I can't really tell you what I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't that. Essentially, the story is, again, it's sort of no plot, just vibes, but it is about this underprivileged family / community in Orlando, Florida. Although, can I just say, this might be rude, so I do apologize if you are from Orlando, Florida, but this is the most Orlando film that I have ever seen. The opening shot, I knew it was Orlando. You can tell by my accent I'm Australian, but I have been to America twice, and one of the times we went to Orlando, obviously for the theme parks, as most people who go there go for the theme parks, but we stayed for quite a while and I did get to sort of explore the greater Orlando area, and I felt the setting was very accurate. So yeah, it's about this underprivileged family who lives in Orlando. They live in like a motel type thing. And I thought it was very funny that all of the motels are like themed, because obviously the theme parks, but the one they live in is Magic Kingdom, and it's purple and it's painted like a Disney castle. I mean, iconic, but also not, very sad at the same time. And yeah, the kids are a bit ratty. The whole thing is sort of like, she's not a teen mum, but you know, underprivileged family, just the mum raising the kid and looking after, you know, all of the neighbours' kids, and the kids get up to quite they're shit stirrers. The movie sort of opens with the kids running around and spitting on people's cars, and you know, things like that's very much before. No iPad kids in sight, even though there are iPads in the film. Anyway, it just depicts a very specific type of life that a lot of people live, unfortunately, but I think media sort of neglects to show, whether that's in works of fiction, movies, books, but even just mainstream media and like news reporting. They often will not show stories about underprivileged people, people living in the sort of similar situation as they were in this film, and I thought it was a good story to tell. It's hard to sort of articulate my thoughts on it, because at least where I'm from, there's, in the city that I live in, there is sort of this notorious area that is very similar to what you see in this film, but it's one of the largest suburbs in Australia with the highest concentrate of sort of social housing and underprivileged people, and it's known as like a very rough area. It's not an area people want to live. It's not an area that people move sort of like jobs and offices to. It's not an area with a high literacy rate. There's not a lot of education. It's very rough. There's a lot of crime, a lot of violence. So it's very, I keep saying underprivileged, but it is sort of that cycle of poverty where, you know, parents are fighting tooth and nail to find a job. They're often out of work, they're in social housing, they're in and out of prison, they're not educated, and then because of their situation, their kids grow up that way, and then their kids grow up that way, and it's that cycle of generational poverty. And this film very much touched on that, and how, you know, if the parents, there's not a lot of outcomes for the parents, then the kids will often be stuck in that sort of same cycle, which is really, really heartbreaking. And in the film, Willem Dafoe plays the Magic Kingdom manager. He's the manager of like the motel, and he's sort of like the only ones that are really looking out for the kids, and all of them, you know, trying to make sure all the residents at least get a job, and he's trying to keep them in line in terms of raising the kids, but obviously that's hard when they're all off doing their own thing. But I thought it was just a really good movie. I was about to say it's a nice movie. It's not a nice movie. I do recommend watching that one as well. It's a bit random. The ending, though, I don't get the ending, because why did it go from this it was this beautifully set, it was very intentional, the colour grading is amazing, like, it's a visually stunning film, and then the very last scene we swap over to this like camcorder, shaky cam vibe, like all of the colour grading's gone, the intentional shots are gone, it turns very strange, and then it just ends, and it's like, what? I still enjoyed it though. I do recommend watching that one as well. There's a few other Sean Baker films that I'm really interested in watching. I think he's very talented. Anyway, that is all of the movies that I have watched recently. This was a bit chatty, wasn't it? Anyway, like I said, I always have a lot to say. You can never get me to shut up. Thank you so much for watching this video and hanging out with me today. If you have seen any of the movies that I have mentioned in this video, let me know what you thought of them in the comments below. I always love chatting to you guys and hearing your opinions, so please let me know. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.